because that's such a large percentage of the budget. But I think also in terms of just the bureaucracy in Sacramento is going to be trimmed even more than it has been in the past, and I'm sure that will be on the table.
Ron, the demise of Governor Schwarzenegger's career basically was because of the budget, the economy, the lack of cohesiveness with the legislature. If you were to give Governor Schwarzenegger a rating, a grade for the job he did over the last 8 years, what would that be? Well,
I would say that the governor made a very strong effort. He's certainly very passionate about trying to address these long-term problems. I think ultimately the approach that he took, which was to try to be above partisanship and to try to put that aside, wasn't successful. And for two reasons. Number one, you need a legislature that actually agrees with you, that would want to also put partisanship aside. I don't think we saw very much of that. And also, I think it's important that that we have that we recognize that in politics you need to have a base. You need to have a group of people who are going to be with you and provide you with that strength for when times are tough. And when you make such an effort to try to reach out to the other team that your base feels a little neglected, that also puts you in a weaker position because you're not dealing so much with strength.
What's next for him, do you think?
I presume that he'll do some movies and such, and I'll go see all of them.
Okay. When it comes to looking ahead to the new year, how hopeful are you that we're going to solve some of these problems, our politicians?
Well, I remain hopeful. You have the glass half full, glass half empty, pessimist, optimist. Then there's the realist, and the realist knows that whatever the glass is, when we're done, someone has to wash it. And I think I'm somewhere between the optimist and the realist in that I have an inherent faith in the people of California. They remain strong. They remain resilient. They remain innovative. We just need to get a state government that matches the strength of our people. And so I do think that we can come out of this. We can come out of it stronger. In the words of Robert Frost, the best way out is through. And the only way we're going to get out of this crisis is going right through the middle of it and hopefully taking the opportunity or the obligation that comes from crisis, which is to make big, bold, substantial reforms to really put our state back on track and lay the groundwork for the next 20, 30, 40 years for our children and grandchildren.
It is a very important time, but it sure probably will be very interesting as well. Jerry Brown is a colorful politician, and I'm anticipating it's not going to be a boring ride. What do you think?
I would absolutely agree. Jerry Brown is one of those guys that is, first of all, he's unpredictable, and he doesn't follow anybody else's game plan but his own. And so, we saw that with his campaign. He had probably the most creative campaign I've seen, especially given what he was up against. And yet it all came together, and it worked out incredibly well. And I think that I would agree with Nathan that, Californians are hardworking. They love our state, and they love what we have here, the environment and so forth. And I think everyone's going to roll up their sleeves and work together to solve the problems. And yes, I agree that the crux of that is in Sacramento, but I do think Jerry Brown's the guy who can solve those problems in Sacramento.
I know you're going to be looking into what he has to say about the pensions and pension reform, Ron, but what else are you hoping to see him accomplish this year?
Well, I think bold long-term reform has to be at the center of this. I don't want to see cuts without reform, because one-year cuts of this type without bold reform could lead to even more waste that you had in the first place. Part of the reason why the governor-elect has to look at big cuts is because we haven't taken the opportunity to reform in the past. When we passed these temporary tax cuts 2 years ago, it was told to the people that, well, just give us this one-time temporary tax cut. We'll really get our act together this time, and then we won't need the tax hike, going further. Well, government failed at that. So a fundamentally different approach is necessary to really boldly reform, and that's going to require taking on a lot of entrenched interests, which I'm not sure he's prepared to do. I certainly haven't seen anything in his record or anything that he's said so far that suggests that he's going to take these bold reforms that are necessary in education, with public employed labor unions, with regulation, with many of these regulations that are strangling any type of growth and development in the state. I haven't seen anything that he's put forth so far. I hope he does, but I haven't seen it come out so far. And so I'm pessimistic that he's going to waste his political capital trying to push through a big unpopular tax increase when he can instead use that capital for the type of bold reform that the state really needs right now. It doesn't have to take half the time and half the money to build something in Texas as it does in California. It doesn't have have to be that way. But without bold reform, we're stuck with that, and that's unfortunate. Californians love our state, and we want the state to be affordable enough that we can stay here.
All right, there's two Republicans